Good morning, friends. I am not a life coach. I'm not a therapist. I'm a mom. My name is Ina Irby. I do believe in anonymity. I understand it very much so. I understand it. And a lot of the friends don't want to be seen. And that's okay. I get that. I totally understand. In my case, I see a need for those who have left the organization. And excuse me, because I'm very new. My name is Ina Irby, and I disassociated myself just recently. So my vernacular, you'll have to excuse me because I still have old indoctrinated words inside my brain and heart. So it's going to take some time for me to get it out. Again, on the note of anonymity, I think it's very important to let those who do not want to show their faces, and they have family members that are still connected to the organization. It's very hard for them to be able to express their feelings, and I understand that. But, and I probably could have done the same, but I know that there is a need and we have to do something, and even if it's something small, then I want to be a part of something bigger. So if you feel the need to open yourself up and share to the world, because that's basically what this is, to the world, your story being one of Jehovah's Witnesses and the abuse that you've experienced, I would do it. People need to hear the words and see your faces. On that note, it is Martin Luther King Day in the United States, and he was a great man, an honorable man. And in the New World Translation, if you look at 1 Peter 2:17, it says, honor all sorts of men, to honor all sorts of men. And this man was a great man. I had an experience with a circuit overseer, and he was white. And he happened to, he's a local man here. He kind of worked himself up to CO, and he ended up going to the South. And I will relate his story to you by what he said. He had gone from home to home. I guess the friends would invite him over for dinner, and the black friends, and he would notice that Martin Luther King, his picture was on the wall, or on, on a little desk somewhere, his picture was there. And somehow it offended this white man, this white circuit overseer. And he had said, in relating the experience, that he went back to the Kingdom Hall, and he found it very disturbing that the friends had Martin Luther King in their homes displayed. What did Martin Luther King ever do for you? Is what he proceeded to tell them. And when I told my white husband, he said, I'm surprised that man actually walked out of the Kingdom Hall alive, especially to the black friends, the African American friends in the Kingdom Hall. And as he proceeded to tell me this and tell others around us this, I felt so extremely embarrassed. One, if you go to Bethel, if you go to Wallkill, who do they have? I was so extremely embarrassed. They have Russell and Rutherford plastered all over their museum. All over their museum. I was absolutely mortified as one of Jehovah's Witnesses to see that. That wasn't supposed to be there. I don't feel. That's my opinion. That's veneration. Veneration of men, right? Veneration of men. But those men didn't do as much as this man has done for humanity. Martin Luther King has done things for humanity. And he is a great man and an honorable man. And so, it was more than just a man that did this for his people, but he did this for all of humanity. And he was a man he was a human man that made mistakes, but he's he should be honored, an honored man for what he has done. And I am very grateful to this man. And I wanted to express that today, that it's because of this man that I get to sit here today in my home and be able to do exactly this, express myself. I am a woman of color. And up until 60 years ago, almost, there were no rights. There were no rights for a woman. And in the organization, unfortunately today, there are limits to rights as one of Jehovah's Witnesses if you're a woman. It is difficult for you. It is not easy. So I wanted to honor this man today for what he has done. I wanted to read to you a little bit about Mr. Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King. History of Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King was an American clergyman and civil rights leader. He became minister of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama in 1954. He led the black boycott of segregated city bus lines in 1956 and gained a major victory as a civil rights leader when Montgomery buses began to operate on a desegregated basis. King organized the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which provided a base to pursue further civil rights activities in the South and later nationwide. His philosophy of nonviolent resistance resulted in his arrest on numerous occasions in the 1950s and 60s. His 1963 protest in Birmingham, Alabama, earned him worldwide attention. He brought together more than 200,000 people on the March on Washington in August 1963, where he delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. In 1964, at the age of 35, he was the youngest man and the third black man to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. His interests widened from civil rights to include criticism of the Vietnam War and a deeper concern over poverty. His plans for a Poor People's March to Washington in 1968 were interrupted for a trip to Memphis, Tennessee, in support of striking sanitation workers. On April 4th, 1968, he was shot and killed as he stood in the balcony of the Lorraine Motel. This man was a great man, and to honor someone like this for what he did for society, for civil rights, for people of color. In our organization, there's a quote that says that these people of color were good servants and should be that way. That's how it should be. Servants. And he did not think that way. To honor men of all sorts. And today, that is what I'm doing. I'm honoring a man who helped humanity. There's a couple of scriptures that I liked. It's 1 Timothy 2:1. And I wrote it down and I will share them with you. 1 Timothy 2, verse 1. It says, I urge you, first of all, to pray for all people. Ask God to help them, intercede on their behalf, and give thanks for them. I love the fact that this man was willing to do something for humanity and not stay anonymous. And I'm very thankful for that. Another one is John 12:32. It's John 12, verse 32. And it says, and when I am lifted up from the earth, I will draw everyone to myself. Again, this is not a generally, Jehovah's Witnesses are very linear. They don't think of anyone else. They just think of themselves. Whereas this man thought of everyone, and his actions helped everyone. There was no partiality with this man. In Acts 10:34, let's see, 10:34, sorry. It says, then Peter replied, this is Acts 10:34, then Peter replied, I see very clearly that God shows no favoritism. In every nation, he accepts those who fear him and do what is right. And this man did exactly that. He did what was right. And so, I wanted to read this to you. It's some of the quotes that he had when he was alive. So I'm going to read them. The soft-minded man always fears change. He feels security in the status quo, and he has an almost morbid fear of the new. For him, the greatest pain is the pain of a new idea. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. I'm going to read that one again. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Almost always, the creative, dedicated minority has made the world better. Never, never be afraid to do what's right, especially if the well-being of a person or animal is at stake. Society's punishments are small compared to the wounds we inflict on our soul when we look the other way. I'm going to read that one again. Never, never be afraid to do what's right, especially if the well-being of a person or animal is at stake. Society's punishments are small compared to the wounds we inflict on our soul when we look the other way. He who passively accepts evil is as much involved in it as he who helps to perpetrate it. He who accepts evil without protesting against it is really cooperating with it. So, yes, I wanted to give dignity to this day and honor a man that did things that helped humanity. And he was an educated man. Individuals in the Watchtower that started this organization, they were not educated like this man was. They were not clearly aware of the ignorance that lied around them, nor did they care. They kept on in their linear thinking. And I think that's very sad because we see the ignorance that lies within them still inside the organization. So if you are an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and if you are a free-thinking person, someone who is now coming to realize that you can be free, these words will mean something to you. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. I hope this helps you on your healing journey. Follow your bliss and be good humans.